Yeah, good morning to all. We were discussing about category of functions, how we can write functions in different ways. Okay, so we can write functions with arguments and no return value. This is first category. That means function takes some arguments but not going to return any value to calling function. The second category is functions with arguments and with return value. That means functions takes some arguments and also return a value to the calling function. Then the third category is functions with no arguments and with return value. That means here function does not take any arguments but returns a value to calling function. Okay, so how to define uh, these three types of functions we need to understand. Okay, so in the last class we discussed about functions with arguments and no return value. Okay, so what happens in this case? First case we'll look at functions with arguments and no return value. So when a function has arguments, when function takes arguments, that means it does receive data from calling function. Okay, so we can understand that there is some data transfer from calling function to called function when it is taking arguments. Similarly, when it does not return a value, the calling function does not receive any data from the called function. Okay, so the calling function is not going to return, not going to get any data from the called function because the called function is not going to return any value, no return value. Okay, so that's why it is not going to return any value to calling function. Okay, so in effect we can say that there is one-way data transfer between calling function and a called function. Okay, so data is transferred only in a one direction from calling function to called function. Now if we look at an example for this, we can write a function in this way. I said in the last class. Okay, so this is an example for function with arguments and no return value. Now see here. So here now here in this example what I am going to do is I am going to find average of two numbers. Okay, so finding average of two numbers is a separate task. So for that what I am doing is I am defining a function for that. And I am giving two numbers to that function. What it will do is it takes those two numbers and calculates average of those two numbers, and it is not going to return any value, so it is keeping average with it. Okay, now see here. So how to define such function we need to understand. Now inside the main, now I have defined two variables a and b to store the two numbers. Now I'm asking the user to enter two numbers, then User enters two numbers. I am catching them in A and B. Okay. So now assume that you need to calculate average of these two numbers and main does not know how to calculate. Okay. So what it is doing, it is taking help of another function. Okay. So assume that there is a function called average. Average, that means I am going to define a function called as average, and I am passing these two numbers as arguments to this. These are called arguments here. I am passing these two numbers as arguments to this. Okay, so this is called function calling statement. This is called a function calling statement. Now I am calling the function. Okay, so that means there should be a definition for this. That means the function code should be available. So after the main, now you define the code. Okay. Now, immediately from this point, control jumps to the function definition here. This is called function definition. Okay. So here A and B means not variables. The values present in A and B will be coming into this function, and that will be caught into the first variable here, and the second value will be caught into second variable here. Okay. So here A and B, these are called formal parameters, and here these are called actual parameters. The values from actual parameters will be copied into these formal parameters. Okay, so that's why the name of the formal parameters can be same or different. You can also use here x comma y, you can use here, no problem. Okay, so a separate memory will be allocated for these formal parameters here. Okay, now so assume that user has entered 10 and 20. 10 will be copied from calling function. This main is called calling function because it is calling the function here. This is called function call statement, I said. Okay, so those two values will be passed to the function here. Okay, now I'm defining a local variable inside the function average here. So then I'm calculating average here. Then it is not going to return value. So that's why what I'm doing, I'm printing inside the function itself. Okay, so average value is equals to, after this end of the function reaches, again control comes here, then control comes to return 0. Now your main program ends. That means your program ends here. That's how the execution. Now see here, when function is taking arguments and not going to return any value, there is no equal to symbol before this function. Okay, so that's why we define the function name as void here. Okay, so to inform the compiler that I am going to define a function. So I said that this is called function header and this is called function body. Okay, so copy the header as it is, copy the header as it is and place before the main. Okay, so before it reaches main, you place here and end this with a semicolon. This is called function prototype. This is called function prototype or function declaration. Okay, so in C language, we said that anything you are going to use, you must declare first. So that's why you defined a function here. You are going to use a function here. So that function declaration must be available to the compiler. So that's why before main, you write here. So void average within the parenthesis int a comma int b, then end this with a semicolon because this is declaration. Or we can also call it as prototype. This is called as a function prototype. This is called as a function prototype. What is other name for this? This is called prototype. We call it as function prototype. If you don't define this function prototype or function declaration, then compiler gives error because you are going to use this average function and you are not given any information to me. That's how the compiler gives error here. Okay, so that's why before it sees that average function, we should give information in the form of declaration or prototype. Okay, so this is how you should define the prototype before the main function. Okay, so this is an example for function with arguments here, but no return value. When function has no return value, the return type of the function will be void type here. Okay, this is first category. Right, now the second one is functions with arguments and with a return value. With return value. Okay, so the first case you can understand like this: functions with arguments and no return value. That means assume that you have a bike with you, and it got repaired. So what you will do? You do not know how to repair it. So you will take to a specialized person. Bike mechanic is a specialized person in repairing a bike. Okay. So you take to him and you hand over your bike to him. Okay. So this is called passing data from calling function to called function. Now you are calling function and mechanic is the called function. So what you are doing, you are handing over bike to him. That bike becomes a data here, argument here. Okay, like you, a comma b values you are passing in the example, no? Okay, so similarly you are handing over bike to him. What he will do, he uh, repairs bike and keeps with him. He is not going to return to you. Okay, so that bike he keeps with him. This is an example you can understand. Functions with arguments take argument but no return value, not going to return that value. That means the mechanic is not going to return that bike. Now, if it comes to the second category, functions with arguments and with return value. That means now you are handing over bike to the mechanic. That means bike is the argument here and he repairs it and again he returns that bike to you. Now you can say function with return value. Okay, so what happens in this we will see here. So what is happening here? There is two-way data transfer. Like you are giving bike to him, he is repairing the bike, again returning back to you. Okay, so that means there is a transfer of data in two directions. Okay, now see here, when a function has arguments, it does receive data from calling function. Okay, now you are calling function and mechanic is called function. Assume that. Now from calling function, there is a data transfer in the form of arguments. Okay. Similarly, when it returns a value, the calling function does receive data from the called function. Okay, so now the function is returning a value. So that's why calling function receives data from the called function. So in effect, you can say that there is a two-way data transfer between calling function and called function. Now we can say that the data is transferred in two directions. Two-way data transfer we call it as. Okay, from calling function to called function, data is transferred in the form of arguments, and again from called function to calling function, data is returned in the form of return value. In the form of a return value. So that's why this is two-way data transfer we can understand. Okay, so now a simple example how we can define such kind of function you need to understand. Okay, so if we go back to the same program, now here what we are doing, we are calculating average inside the function and we are printing the value here itself because we are not going to return this one. Okay, so when it has to return this, now it can be returned to the calling function like this. So what I do is I save this. Now function 2.c, I say this function 2.c. Okay, now same example we can take here. Now just see here, two numbers. Now I have to calculate average. I do not know how to calculate average. What I do, now I take help of a specialized function, average a comma b. It calculates average, assume like in this way. Now this function takes the two numbers as arguments, calculates and returns that average value. Okay, so when it is returned, now you can catch that average value in a variable like this. So you define a variable called as float avg. Okay, so float average or float a, you can a already is there, no? Okay, so float avg you can define here, float avg. Now you can catch that in avg is equals to. Okay, so this is how you can define. So the meaning of this is average is a function which is taking two numbers as arguments. It calculates average. What is the purpose of this function? Calculating average of these two numbers and it returning that value. It is returning that value. So that's why you are getting some value from this function. So you should catch that in a variable. So before the function, you should write some variable is equals to the function call average a comma b. Okay, now you have not calculated. You have taken help of a function which does the job, calculated average and returned that value. So now where is the average value? in AVG, in variable AVG. Now, if you print this, so here you got the value. So now you can print that value here. Average value is equal to AVG. Okay, so here now how we need to return from this average function when this is called. Okay, so directly control comes here. Now you have two variables A and B. No, you have two variables A and B. No, now directly you can take a local variable help here. So like this, say float A. You can design your function in two ways. Okay, so then you can say A is equal to, so already A is there. No, so you can define X here. Float X, something, some variable X is equal to A plus B by 2.0. Now you calculated average and stored in variable X. Now this you are not keeping with you, so you are going to return that. So how you will return? By using a statement called as return, and within the parenthesis now you give the variable name X. You can give within the parenthesis, or you can just say return space X. Now this X value will be returned to the calling function. So here you are getting that value. Where it will be stored? It will be stored in a variable called as AVG in the main function. Like this. Okay. So now it is calculating and just returning that value to main function. So main receives that value in a variable called as AVG. Now it prints that value inside the main. So here we can print that value this way. Okay. Now see here, when the function is returning a value, so your return type should be of such kind. Okay, what type of value it is going to return? X. What is the X data type? Float. So you must define this return type here as float. Okay, in the prototype also you must change this float. Okay, so from this prototype you can understand that average is a function which takes two integer numbers as arguments A and B and returns a floating point value. Returns a floating point value. This is how you can understand from this statement. Okay, so this is the definition of function with arguments and with return value. Okay, so when there is a return value, see before the function name, there should be some data type here. What type of data it is going to return. So till now we were writing int main, int main. Okay, so that means this main is going to return an integer number to operating system. So how it is returning? That's why at the end we are writing return 0. Okay, so this 0 is returned to the operating system. So this is the return type. Okay, in the same way, for our average function, now it is going to return a floating point number. Okay, so how you are returning? By using this return statement. If we execute this, now see here. I'm saving this program, build the program. Okay, so yeah, this extra words prototype I have written in program. You should not write all these things. Okay, right. So now build the program. Right, no errors in this. Okay, so 0 errors you can see here. Now run the program. Now enter two numbers. Okay, so 10, 20 I enter. Now you can see average value is equal to 15.00. Okay, so where from this has printed? From the main. Now see here. Okay, but who has calculated average? Main has not calculated. Main has two numbers with it. Okay, but it do not know how to calculate average of these two numbers. So that's why it called a function called as average. We need to understand this. Okay, so it called a function and this function calculated the average and returned that value. So where is that function definition? After the main you should define. Okay, so you should assume that there is a function average and write the logic inside the main. After that, that function you should define after the main. Okay, so both roles you need to play here. Assuming that there is a function and after that the function definition also you have to do after the main. Okay, so this is function with arguments a comma b and no with a return value. This is simple example for that. Okay, so now going to the third category, function with arguments with return value we have seen here. Okay, so then the third category is function with no arguments but with a return value. It is not going to take any arguments, but it is returning a value. Okay, so what happens here? When a function has no arguments, it does not receive any data from the calling function. This is understood here. Okay, so from calling function to called function, no data will be transferred here because there are no arguments. Similarly, when it returns a value, the calling function does receive data from the called function, but from called function, there is data transfer to calling function. Okay, so in effect, you can say there is one-way data transfer between called function and calling function. Okay, so one-way data transfer between called function and calling function, only from called function to calling function. Now, how we can define such a function in the program? No arguments, but it should return a value. It should return a value. Okay, so a simple example for this predefined function we have taken. We have seen a function called as a getChar in our programs. Okay, so in our programs we have used this getChar. So how we defined this getChar? Just this is a predefined function. Example for this, see char ch variable we have defined. Then we said that ch is equals to getChar. Now this is an example for third category, function with no argument. See, after getChar, parenthesis, empty parenthesis we have. That means there are no arguments for this function. But what it is doing, it is reading a character entered by the key user through keyboard, and it is going to return a value that we are catching in a variable ch. We are catching in a variable ch. Okay, so that means it is not taking any arguments, but it is returning a value. Returning a value. Okay, similar kind of this getChar is for reading a single character. Similar kind of function you can define for reading a integer number. For reading an integer number. Okay, so for reading integer number, what you are doing, you are writing scanf function like this. Scanf %d. Okay, something like address of some arx, something you are writing like this. Okay, so this is called formatted input function. Okay, because you are using a format specifier. Now, like getChar, you want to define your own unformatted function without using format specifier. Now you can define a function, your own function, to read a number like getNum. Now I just define a function called as getNum. Okay, which reads a number. Okay, and assume that it returns a value, returns that value, so that you can catch in a variable called as a num or n or something. N is equal to getNum. So this kind of function now you can define. I'll show you here. Okay, so no arguments but returning a value. Based on our requirement, now we can define our own functions in this way. Okay, so how to define this kind of function, I'll tell you here. Okay, so getNum function, getChar, like getChar, we want to define our own function for reading an integer, getNum. Okay, so what I can do is include the header file here. It is not there in library. Now we are defining such kind of function now. Okay, so leave one line for prototype. Okay, so then int main you define here. Now inside the main, now see here. So I am defining a variable called as a int n here. Okay, now I ask the user, say printf enter a number, enter a number. So user enters a number. So now previously we used scanf function, but now I don't want to use scanf function. Now I can define a function like this. Okay, so now I say how I read by using a function called as getNum. It is not there. Okay, so I am assuming that this getNum function reads that number and returns that one. Okay, so now because it is returning a value, I have to catch in some variable. Now I say n is equals to getNum. So whatever is entered through keyboard, it reads, and it returns. So that's why I'm catching in n. Now n contains the number entered through keyboard. Now if you print, you can see here, say printf number entered is equals to %d. Without using scanf, now we have read this %d comma n. Okay, so now you can say return 0. Close. Now the question is, you need to define. You called this function getNum function. You called your own function. So that function definition should be available after the main. So here you will define. So what is the return type? Integer number it is going to return. What is the function name? GetNum is my function. No argument. So empty parenthesis here. Okay. So now what I do is I just say scanf inside this function. Internally I use scanf function here. Okay. So scanf, I can say %d comma address of some variable you declare here. So here you declare some variable int something like num. Okay, so that value I'm catching, whatever he enters I'm catching in it. Okay, then I can say return num. This is how I can define a getNum function. Okay, so internally using scanf only it reads the number and it is returning that value. Okay, but this function definition is not visible to the user. Then what user understands is this is not visible. User understands that it is reading a value and returning that. That's it. Like printf, scanf function definitions, are we getting those programs? No. For printf, scanf, gettys, those programs are already compiled and kept in a C library. Okay, so same is the case. Whatever function we define, we compile it and store in a library. And user doesn't get. That is how you can provide security to these functions. Okay, so just look at the example here. Only the point to be conveyed here is function without arguments but returning a value. You need to understand this. Okay, so here this scanf reads that number and stores in address of num that I am going to return here. Then user gets an illusion that getNum has read the value and returned that one. Okay, so if I save this program as function 3, function 3.c, just build the program. Okay, run the program. Now see, enter a number. Okay, so 55 I entered. Now you can see the number entered is equal to 55. Okay, so here this function prototype we missed here. Control C, you need to define here. Control V, because it gives some warning or error sometimes. Okay, so that's how you will get this. So user will be knowing only this main function only visible to the user. When you define such kind of functions, we are not going to return these things to the user, showing to the user. Okay, so in software development, that's why we write everything in the form of functions, and all those functions we keep with us. Only the compiled code will pass to the user, so that user doesn't make any changes in the programs. Okay, so you can see the number entered is equal to 55. Clear? Okay, so these things, when you write functions of your own, you will come to know here. Now these three categories of functions, based on requirement, we define one of these types of functions. Okay, so only thing is how to define such functions you need to understand first. That's why I have given examples for these three types, how we can define these three types of functions. Okay, so now passing parameters to functions. there are two ways of passing parameters to functions. One is call by value and call by reference method. Okay, the first method is called, you are calling the function by value, passing value to the function. And second one is you are calling the function by reference, that means passing a address to the function, addresses of variable to the function. What happens if you call a function by using call by value method, and if you call a function by using call by reference method, what happens? We need to understand here. Okay, so how we can define a function by using call by value method, and how we can define a function using call by reference method, or in other way, how parameters can be passed by using call by value or pass by value. In other way, you can also call it as pass by value method, pass by reference method. Parameters, how they are passed. Okay, so first call by value method, I'll give an example for this, then I'll talk about this call by value method, what happens in call by value method. Okay, so first this is my program. So what I am doing, I am swapping two numbers here. I am swapping two numbers here. Okay, so just see the program here. Now I have defined a main function here. Now I have defined two numbers because I need to interchange these two numbers. So I'm asking the user to enter two numbers. He enters two numbers. Assume 10, 20 he enters. That I am catching in A and B before swapping. Okay, so that means the actual value present in A and actual value present in B I am printing here. Now this main does not know how to swap the two numbers, interchange the two numbers. Assume that. So what it has to do, it has to call a function which is a specialized one, which can do that job. Okay, so assume that there is a function called as swap and give these two numbers to this function. So given these two numbers to this function, assume that it swaps these two numbers. Okay, so that's why I'm calling the function here, swap a comma b. A comma b I'm calling here. Okay, so I'm passing these two a and b values as arguments. So immediately when this function is called, control comes to this function definition. Okay, so again after swapping the two numbers, again it comes back. So what I'm doing, I'm printing, after swapping I'm printing a and b values. Okay, so what happens, we'll see. Execution first we'll see, then I'll explain call by value method here. Okay, so first a and b will be declared here, then immediately memory will be allocated for a and b. Please remember, this a and b are local to this main function. That means they can be accessed only within the main function. Okay, so we have two types of variables, local variables and global variable. Local variable means they are accessible only within the function in which you define. Global variable means you can access in any function. Okay, so here a and b are defined inside the main. That's why they are called as local variables to main. So immediately when this statement is executed, a, b memory will be allocated like this. Okay, and this memory is visible only to main function. Okay, so now this statement is executed, enter two numbers. Assume that on the screen you will get message enter two numbers. So you entered some two numbers, 10, 20 you entered. So what happens here? This scanf reads those two numbers and stores the first number in A, second number in B, like this. Now A, B contains 10 and 20 values. Now goes to the next statement, execute this. Then on the screen you will see before swapping printed. So then next statement is executed. Okay, so a value and b value will be printed, the actual values. Before interchanging, I am printing a and b values. A is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. Now I call the function. Just see, understand here. Now this statement is executed. Swap a comma b. Okay, so swap a comma b. When this statement is executed, that means you are calling the function. Okay, so here swap a comma b. Two arguments you are passing. It is not those variables a, b. The values present in a and b will be passed here. That's why this is an example for call by value. You are calling the function by passing arguments by value. You are passing the arguments by value. That means the values present in A and B will be passed as arguments. It is not the variables. It is their values passed as arguments. That means swap 10 comma 20. It is as equivalent as swap 10 comma 20. To compiler, it is swap 10 comma 20. Okay, so from here when this function is called, from here directly control jumps to this function definition. Till now it is executing main function. Okay, so when this statement is executed from here, directly control jumps to this function, control comes here. Okay, so the into a comma b means here for a and b, again a separate memory will be allocated, and this a and b are visible only within this function, swap function. They are visible to this function. That means they are local to this function. Okay, so how 10 and 20 will be available here? Because the first argument is 10, that 10 will be stored in a, second argument is 20. You are calling the function by value here, so that's why 20 will be stored in a b here. Okay, so now these two variables a and b contains the values. That means through arguments data is transferred to this function. Okay, so now see here, if you give the same names here a comma b, a separate memory will be allocated for a and b. This a and b is different and this a and b is different. This a and b is visible within the main function and this a and b is visible within this swap function. Okay, so that's why I say that you can use same name a comma b, same as main. Okay, in defining this function. Okay, here also you can use same names, no problem. A separate memory, another copy of a and b memory will be allocated. Even you can use a different memory, no problem. So a value will be copied into x, b value will be copied into y. Okay, so a separate memory for x and y will be allocated so that this x, y are local to this swap function, local variables of this swap function. That means they can be accessed only within this function. Okay, right. So which notation we'll use? You can use a different name or you can use the same name, no problem. Okay, so same name if you use, you will get an illusion that you are working with same variables here. Okay, now, so int c, I have declared a c variable. So for c, memory will be allocated. All these three are local to this function. Now this statement is executed. C is equal to a value will be copied into c. So what is the code for swapping of two numbers? C is equal to A is equal to B, and B is equal to C. Yes. So next, A is equal to B will be, A is equal to B will be executed here. So B value will be copied into A. Now A value changes to 20. Then next, B is equal to C. Okay. So C value will be copied into B. Now B value becomes 10 here. Okay. Now see here. Then the control goes to closing brace of this function. Okay, so when it goes to closing brace of this function, that means the function ends, execution of this function is over. When the function ends here, control immediately comes back to the same point here. From here it went into the function definition. So from here again it goes back to the next statement. It comes to printf statement here. So when the control returns back here, what happens? All the local variables will be removed. Okay, so from here the control comes back to the same point here. Okay, so when this happens, the local variables will be removed. Okay, so ABC will be removed from the memory and control comes here, then it goes to the next statement. So directly it goes to next statement here, printf after swapping. Now see, you have interchanged only the local variables of swap function. Okay, here the values are interchanged, but now when the control reaches here, A and B values are same 10, 20. So after swapping, you will get here when you print A and B values, A value will be 10, B value will be 20, and you will get a message that no change because of call by value method. Because you called the function by using call by value method, the actual values of A and B will not change. Only inside the function, the values will change, but that is not reflected in the main function. Understood? Okay. So the point to be noted here is when you call a function by using call by value method, okay. So whatever changes, you made changes to A and B, no doubt, but those changes are not reflected in the main function. Okay, now return 0, then your program ends, and on the screen you can see when you see your output, enter two numbers 10, 20, you enter. Before swapping A value 10, B value 20. After swapping also A value 10 and B value 20. That means the changes, you made changes, no doubt. Inside the function you made changes, but those changes are not reflected here. Okay, so in such cases you can use call by value method here. Now return 0. Now what happens in call by value, we'll try to understand here. In call by value, parameters are passed by value to the function. Okay, so you said that swap A comma B. A or B are called parameters. They are passed by value. That means A, B variables are not passed. Their values will be passed to the function. 10, 20 will be passed to the function. Okay, so any change made to these values. Now you made changes to these values inside the called function. So those changes will not be reflected in the calling function. Inside the main, those changes are not reflected. That is what happens in call by value method. So that is why the actual parameters will not change in the calling function. In the calling function, the parameters, the AB values will not change. That is what the meaning of call by value method. Okay, now you can ask a question. No sir, even if I make changes inside the function, those changes should be reflected in the main function. How it can be done? So for that, we'll use call by reference method. We'll use call by reference method. Okay, so in call by reference, what happens? In call by reference, parameters are passed by reference. That means we pass their addresses. Previously, we have given only variable name. When you give variable name, only the value will be passed. Now, if you give their address, then the address is called a reference. Okay, so the address will be passed here. So when you pass address, what happens? Any change made inside the called function will be reflected in the calling function. So if you make change there on the duplicate, if you make change, original also changes here. Okay, so how it changes, we'll see in the example. Now this is a previous program now. Now here, just see the change here. Before swapping, I am printing the values here. Okay, so just see the execution. Int A comma B here. Memory will be allocated for A and B. Enter two numbers. You will get 10, 20. You entered. 10 will be stored in A. 20 will be stored in a B. Okay, so before swapping, I am printing A value will be 10 and B value will be 20. Okay, now I am calling the function. Just see here. Now this time I call the function like this: swap address of A comma address of B. Now assume A has some address and B has some address. We said that every memory location will have an address. Okay, so A address we are passing, B address we are passing here. Okay, so when you call the function by passing these addresses, that is called call by reference. You are calling the function by reference, call by reference method. This is an example for call by reference method. So immediately from this point, control goes here. When you are passing their addresses, A address and B address, those addresses must be caught in pointers, no? So that's why the formal parameters here should be two pointers, int star p comma int star q. Now see here what happens. Those two addresses will be caught in P and Q. For P and Q, memory will be allocated here. Okay, so P will get A address. That's why we can say that P is pointing to A and Q will get B address. Now we can say that Q is pointing to B. Okay, so when this first statement is executed, this is what happens internally. That means PQ memory will be allocated and the link between P and A, link between Q and B will be created because P contains A address, P is pointing to A, we can say, and Q contains B address. Now we can say that Q is pointing to B now. Okay, so now there is a temporary variable. A temporary variable I am creating here. Okay, so temp memory is allocated and this is visible only within the swap function. Please remember P, Q and temp are local to the swap function. Now next statement is execute. Temp is equal to star P. Temp is equal to star P. Star P means the value, star meaning is value pointed by P. Okay, so P is pointing to A and the value present in this A will be stored in a temp. So that's why temp contains the value of A will be transferred to temp. Okay, so then star P is equal to star Q. Now when you use a star P in the left hand side, the meaning is the location pointed by P. The location pointed by P is A location. So in that location, now you store the value pointed by P. What is the value pointed by P? 20. That 20 will be stored in a A. Okay, so this 20 will be transferred to A. Now see here. Now you are making changes inside the function. Now you are making changes inside the function, but the actual A and B values are changing here. Okay, right? So 20 will be transferred to A here. Now next star q is equal to temp. From temp you store into location of q which is pointing there. Okay, so from temp it goes to location pointed by q. Location pointed by q is nothing but b. So nothing but from temp the value 10 will be stored into b. Nothing but using the pointer. Now you are making changes into the actual location of a b here. Okay, so then now A and B values are changed here. Okay, so those changes you done inside the function, but the actual A, B values have changed here. Now, when the function closes here, what happens? Control returns back. Control comes back to this. Yes or no? So from here, directly control comes back. When the control returns, all the local variables memory will be deleted here. So what are the local variables of this swap function? P is a local variable, Q is a local variable, temp is a local variable. Okay, so they will be removed immediately. Now see, when the control comes back, you will have only A and B inside the memory. Okay, so now when you see A, B values will be like this when the control comes here. Okay, so immediately it goes to after swapping. On the screen you can see after swapping, and when you print A and B values, A value will be 20 and B value will be 10. Now see, previously before swapping A value is 10, B value is 20. After swapping A value is 20, B value is 10. Now they are interchanged or not, swapped or not? Yes. Okay, so close. So here the point to be noted is in call by reference method. Now try to understand the theory here. In call by reference method, parameters are passed by reference. That means their addresses we are passing, and any change made inside the called function will be reflected in the calling function. So you are making changes in the called function. In swap function, you are making changes, and those changes are actually made on the actual variables A and B. Okay, so this is what we have seen in this program. Okay, right? So whatever changes you are making inside the function, those are done on actual variables here. A, B and B values are changing here. When the control returns, now A, B values changed here. Now you can see the changed values of A and B swap. Okay, so these are the two parameter passing techniques, and very important here, call by value and call by reference methods here. Parameter passing techniques. Explain about parameter passing techniques. Question will be asked in that way. Okay. Now, once we know how to define functions and parameter passing techniques, now we can. Now, in main function, we are calling another function. Okay, but there are some situations. There are some situations where a function can be called in the same function. A function which calls itself is called a recursive function, and this process is known as recursion. This process is known as a recursion. Okay, so that means in the same function you are calling itself. You are calling itself. Okay, so if you call a function in itself, then that process is called as a recursion. Okay, so sometimes we need to define a function of such kind. and that function is called as a recursive function. That function is called as a recursive function. Okay, so a best example for this recursion we'll see in the next class. I'll explain about recursion in the next class, and a recursive function will define. Good example for recursion is factorial function we can define. Okay, because 5 factorial can be written as recursive. 5 into 4 factorial. Again 4 factorial can be written as 4 into 3 factorial. Okay, so that is in terms of itself we are calculating. So for such kind of mathematical recursions, you can define a function, recursive function for them. Okay, so this I'll take up in the next class, because this is also an important way of defining the functions. Fifty members present. So today is 15, no? 15, 3. Okay, right. You can leave now.